Hernandez, joined by my co-host
Javier Vicuna.
And on today's show, we're talking about Miguel Rodriguez's new film, Boyz, with Miguel Rodriguez, who's here, Devin Fromer, and Jessie Cruz. I'm so excited. But before we get started, I would love for you guys to say hello and introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, everybody. I'm Miguel Rodriguez, and I'm the writer and director of Boyz, and I'm from Marin County.
I'm Jessie Cruz, and I am one of the executive producers on Boyz and one of the
main actors.
Main actors, yeah.
I'm so excited to have the conversation about Boyz. We actually went to the theater yesterday to watch it. It was super fun. It was very exciting. But before that, I'm going to break a little bit the ice to just get into the conversation. And it's, what film are you excited to see in theaters this year? There's a lot of exciting films to come out. So I'm going to start off with Javier.
Sure, yeah. I already have mine ready. Deadpool 3.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Great
That's
answer.
like the one
mine
movie
too. Yeah.
I'm super looking forward to.
I forgot that was coming out this year. I already forgot. Yeah, that's great. That's a great answer, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just excited to see Hugh Jackman, right? Come back as Wolverine.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Oh, come
with
on.
the costume now, too.
Costume,
It's going to be dope.
accurate
costume.
Yeah,
great.
It looks so dope.
Yeah.
I'm super stoked to watch that.
Great answer.
How about you, Miguel?
I mean, that was dope. I didn't know. I totally forgot about Deadpool 3. I was like, what movie is going to come out? But that one, and I don't know if I'm like very interested in it. I don't know if it's, I mean, obviously until I watch it, I don't know if it's going to be good or not. But I don't know if you've seen the trailer for Agent Argyle. It has like a bunch of like really good, it has John Cena and like a bunch of other people in it. It's like an action movie.
Oh, yeah.
The one with
Agent Argyle.
It has like a cat in it. Yeah. And Henry Cavill's in it and stuff. Yeah, it looks really good. It looks really fun, and it looks like it's gonna have a lot of action in it, and that's kind of like what I like. So it looks cool though.
Has Dua Lipa in it?
Yeah.
That's
It's a kind of random cast, but it's
very random casting.
But I'm very interested in
Interesting.
it.
Okay. I'm excited for Kung Fu Panda 4.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I love, I think, Illumination, and they're like the whole, they
Universal.
have, their animation and their characters and their storytelling, I love them. They do really, really well.
Yeah.
Their villains, they're so good.
Yeah. For the Puss in Boots movie, too.
Dude,
I
that movie
haven't
was
watched
so
that.
good.
You need to watch it.
You have to watch that one.
It is fun.
Different. It's good.
I'm sorry to say this, but Disney has been disappointing me very, very much
real.
for the past few.
I feel like I agree.
And so I'm really excited for this. I grew up watching this, and so I'm really excited for this. When the trailer came out, I was like, oh my god. And there's so many films coming out in 2024. We can go on and on and talk about it, but that's where I wanted to kind of start off, because movies do get people excited.
Oh yeah.
With that, though, we're going to talk about the movie Boyz. One thing, or the first thing that came up in my mind was, why the name? How did you come up with the name? Yeah, because it's spelled Boy, and then there's a Z at the end.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't think of another title, to be completely honest with you. I mean, the only other title I could think of was like, I have a Western that I want to do like in a couple years, like when I actually have like budget, like from Hollywood and stuff or something like that. I want to call it Los Hermanos Pistoleros, and it's gonna be like a Western, and I wanted to use something like that. I kind of wanted to use the name of that, but I didn't want to use two titles of the two completely different movies.
That makes sense.
So I started thinking of like different names, like boys with he, or like random stuff, just random names. And then I kept using the word like the word boys in it, and with the Z, and it was making me think of like Boys in the Hood. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. Heard of it.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
And I finally watched Blood In, Blood Out?
No, I didn't get the chance to.
That's what. There's a scene in the movie, which we'll get into it. I just wanted to mention it, that you mentioned like sangre por sangre.
Yeah, blood for blood. I just ended up just using the first part, because I had so many drafts of like boys with here 23 boys, which is like, that's kind of like, sounds like a gang, like 23 boys. Then eventually I was like, it's getting too complicated, let me just use the first part of it, because it also works with the story. If you when you guys watched it now, it's about Devin and Luke. It's about Latrell and Zeke, and they're kind of like brothers. And you know, when you're hanging out with like your friends that are guys, you usually call them the boys, your homies. You know what I mean? So I just called it Boyz, just simple.
And in adding on to that, like if you guys in a sentence, let's see if we can do this. How would you describe, or what is the movie about? And then we can go from you to you.
Okay. I would say the what the movie's about.
Yeah.
In one sentence.
In one sentence. Or should we do a whole?
It's fine.
Let's do a challenge.
I'll just do it quick. Okay. It's about our guy getting revenge on his team that betrayed him.
Okay.
I'd say I was literally thinking the same thing. I was thinking revenge. I thought you said one word at first.
Yeah.
One word could.
Yeah,
I was thinking revenge. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
One thing that I heard from a couple of people that were watching, at least some of my friends that were watching last night at the premiere, was that the story reminded them a lot of Red Dead Redemption 1.
Yes.
Oh.
Did you get some inspiration from that? It's a video game.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a video game. And in the video game, one of the... If you haven't played it, the main character that you're playing as goes to go kill his old gang members, and it takes place in the Western times. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a really good story. It's a really good game.
Get some inspiration. From
I did get a little bit of inspiration from Red Dead.
Because that's what they were. That was what was going through their head. In my head too. I was like, this feels like a Red Dead.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and obviously it feels more like new though, because it's like newer age. It's not like Western. But I definitely got some inspiration from that game. Yeah, for sure.
That makes sense. One thing. So again, like you're saying, it's kind of like a revenge story. And one thing that I really wanted to kind of talk about here and highlight about the film was the fight scenes. You guys did such a phenomenal job with the fight scenes in this movie, especially coming from your last film. What was it? How to Save the World? There were some fight scenes in that one, right?
There was.
Was it in Streets?
No, it was in Streets.
Yeah, Streets. That's what I was thinking.
There was like two.
Yeah, and Streets. That was kind of like your first kind of like experimenting with fighting on the screen.
Fighting like actual fight scenes, but with a camera, like not an iPhone, like I used to do on a camera. And it was definitely harder and definitely really hard to like coordinate and also make sure to frame right and everything. Right. So I wanted to make sure when we were doing this one to pay attention to the framing and make sure you could see what's going on, so it's not too shaky and all that. And of course, coordinate the actual fights and make them more fun and crazy. So.
One thing that I noticed in the audience too was during the fight scenes, a lot of people were going like that.
That's good. Yeah, right behind me, right in front of me. I heard all of it.
You could hear it, right?
So. Go ahead. I'm curious because we're kind of like really diving into, but you're executive producer, and to those who don't really understand what a director and all of these little pinpoints are, what is an executive director? What is their job? What are they? What do they do?
At least what my job was for this was kind of more like when it came down to editing, making sure things weren't too like when we did the trailer, nothing was like we had to. I told them straight up, just a little bit too long, cut it here and kind of things like that, making small adjustments and then kind of just being there behind the scenes, watching it. We've watched it like 3 times?
Yeah, before. 3 times in a row before.
Before we actually did the premiere. So kind of just making sure everything was good.
So that's the job of an executive producer.
At least that's how it was for me, yeah.
Okay, and then you were also filming, correct?
At some, good
couple parts?
Yeah.
You can film for a good 15, 20 minute part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because when I first started watching films, you know how they put like the writing, like executive producer, costume design. Usually someone who just goes to watch a movie, I didn't really understand that, and especially growing up. Like I didn't get what that meant.
Yeah.
Until I really got into film, I was like, oh, and then you start like seeing different the actual artists behind it, and you can kind of like they've done this. Oh, okay, and then the costume design stuff like that.
Yeah.
So just a background. Passing it on to you.
Yeah, and then for me, like just going back to the fight scenes, what I noticed too was your whole story. So let's talk about your character.
Okay.
Right? You should introduce your character.
My character in the movie, his name is Ricky. I guess he's more like a kind of a hitman, right?
He's a hitman.
He's a hitman, pretty much. Yeah, kind of like how my character was in Streets, except in Streets, we never really got to see that side of.
Yeah. More like his like casual.
Yeah, it was more like casual. This one was really more like when I go in to go kill Ali and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And you train with who was your trainer in the movie? Who played him?
So his name's Abraham. He's actually the head chef at where I work at.
Oh, what? Wait, back up.
Okay,
Really?
so we'll back up. I work at a retirement center that has a restaurant in it, and in the restaurant there's a bunch of cooks and line cooks and dishwashers, all that. He's the head chef of the restaurant, of the entire restaurant, and I've known him for a while. I've been working there for almost 3 years now, and we're gonna get to like 4 now. It's crazy, but and I've known him the whole time. He's super sweet, really nice man, and he didn't tell me till just about a couple months ago, like last year, that he does like jujitsu and like all these other stuff.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, that's sick. And he told me that he would love to like just hang out and like show me some stuff. I'm like, oh, sure, because I was telling him about like some like, movie stuff, and I was like, oh, I like to do fight scenes and stuff. And he was like, oh, we should train, and I could help coordinate some fights for you. I was like, for sure. And I never took him up on that, just because I didn't have time or like some other stuff. And then when I was writing Boyz, I realized that I wanted to show off a little bit of Ricky's training, because I wanted you to see like what he could do, or like just see like him training, because he's a hitman. So you would want him. You saw him doing like working out, like you would want him to see how he's like being in shape and doing his workouts and stuff like that. So I eventually realized that I remembered. I was like, wait, Abraham, and I went over to him and I asked him to show me some videos of him, and he was showing me videos of him like jogging or like doing like a bunch of like active stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me think about it. Let me write it out, see what happens, and then we got to what you guys saw, and then we met up. He met Jessie for the first time, and then they rehearsed and did the whole thing.
Yeah. How was that experience? Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, how did you guys start working together? Like, what's the connection?
We met through a mutual friend because of the filmmaking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and we almost did it too. We almost
didn't do it, and then because of me, I thought I didn't want to do it. Well, I did want to do it, and then you were like, it came down. I was like, nah.
Why didn't you want to do it?
Just a camera shot, I guess. Yeah, but then I just kind of stuck with it, and now we're here. Yeah, a couple 4 years later now.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
So you guys been working on each film together?
I haven't been in everything.
He hasn't been in everything, but he's been in like since like 2021. He's been a part of each one.
Because you were in Man in the Mask, too, right?
Yeah. He's in Man in the Mask. Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, just to understand a little bit more of your connection. How do you guys know each other? How is it working together and stuff like that?
Yeah, for sure.
Back to your question.
Yeah, and like I was saying, during the montage scene, how was it like because again, the montage scene when they're introducing your character, you're training with Abraham's character. What's the name of him in the movie?
He's just himself. I just Abraham.
Yeah, as himself. Yeah.
How was it? Was that all shot in one day?
It was. Or? So we had a whole different cut of that actually that we did. Yeah, and it just, I don't know why we didn't use it, but I think it just didn't really work out.
It didn't work.
And then we actually were already more prepared the second time. We brought crash pads and everything. So I was actually able to actually fall down on the ground. And
you guys had what?
Crash pads. So they're we use them for
like hard pillows.
Yeah, they're harder pillows, but they're soft enough for you to land on if you need to fall, which we used in Brian's fight scene too. If you remember when Brian like would fall. Or if anyone, like, if he would fall.
So there was something
there. For them to land on. They're called crash pads,
The point is not to...
How come we couldn't see it?
Just
because
camera work.
Camera work,
that was my... That's another question I had on those fight scenes. Okay,
sure.
Continue.
Yeah, because you guys took some big falls.
The one with me and Lachelle, or with Devin's character... there was no crash pads at one point. We actually fell on the concrete floor.
Like the parking lot scene, where you guys were in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Okay, not taking it, but he's really big, and you're like, So I was curious on that. Yeah. How that? Okay, interesting.
It wasn't really that. I mean, for me, it wasn't that bad because I could see it, but obviously for him, he has to go down, and so I feel like for me it was a bit easier. For him, I know it was a little harder, but I feel like I wasn't surprised that it didn't, like, on camera, the way since he was on camera for that, the way he like had all the angles and everything, it looked really good. Like,
yeah, because we could have messed that up really bad and framed it wrong, and it would have looked funny. Yeah, because it's supposed to look intense and like, oh, he's here now. Because in the context, he's there to get him, and when he shows up, if we frame that wrong, then it would look like, oh, he's gonna win like right now. No, it looked pretty even because I kept framing it in a way where Jessie looked like he could handle himself, and the way we set up his character, he could handle himself. He saw what he was doing.
No, absolutely,
he was doing good up until a certain point, right? But
I was gonna also mention during your scene was Ismael's music, and we gotta give a shout out to all the artists.
Huge shout out to all the artists. Yeah, O3Z, Las Calaveras, that's my band. But Evolving Wings, Maitreya, and Eric the God as well. Yeah, and Jules Linked Up too. All those guys. Thank you guys so much.
So
shout out to all.
Yeah. It was cool watching it with music like that too.
Yeah. I told him he knew that I was going to use the music. He just didn't know what I was going to pick.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing he didn't see, but he saw everything else.
Yeah,
and
he texted me, he's like, "You want to see it now with all the music?"
Yeah,
I'm
I told him,
no, I want to wait till the premiere.
Yeah.
Just watch it. Full.
Oh, that was your
Yeah.
first time seeing it with the
With
music.
music. I've seen it 3 times. No music whatsoever.
Wait, you made music?
No.
Oh, sorry.
No, like-
I got lost.
No.
Oh, Ismael.
yeah.
Okay.
Evolving Wings' song. I love that. That was such a good, like, oof, it brought in the energy.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
It was cool seeing Ismael like just like start.
Yeah, I think he was sitting right behind
Yeah,
us.
he was.
He was right behind me,
Yeah,
and
he
literally
was.
you hear like there's no, you hear a song start playing. He goes he starts like laughing, like he's like, oh, let's go, and then it just transitions into his segment, and then he's like, oh, that's so. I could tell he was hyped.
He was hyped, yeah.
I'm glad he came and was able to see that too.
When it comes to making a film, I know there's multiple pieces that go in, like the music, the costume, the set design as well, like everything. One thing I stood out to me, maybe because I know them, but there was a lot of people who are from the community that I know that are part. And I think I told you this. I also know Brian, who's the main villain.
A villain, yeah.
And I told you this, that Brian is the sweetest guy I know.
Yeah.
Like he's so
Super dope. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
super chill,
sweet. Yeah.
super calm, very
Very nice. Yeah.
You won't like. I don't see him ever as a bad guy.
Yeah.
And when you and I had the conversation, I told you that I'm excited to see if he can actually convince me that he's a bad guy. And also with Javier is also featured in the film, so it was interesting for me because Brian won me. I was like, he could actually be a villain with how he was playing.
Awesome.
So how did you intentionally have all of these local people that you wanted to work with, and how was that? How did you talk to them about that? Because like I said, I saw Javier, I saw Brian is one, and other couple other people that I know that were in the film, and I was really like, wow, it blew me away seeing them in a different scenario.
Absolutely. It just took some reaching out. I just wanted to I didn't intend for so many people that are that a lot of people know them. Like a lot of people might know you and a lot of people know Brian and stuff. I didn't intend it to work out like that, but it just happened to be a thing where I wrote a character and it fit to someone who I was thinking of, and I thought of Javier as the guy on the computer and talking to Jessie, and I thought of Brian because I've seen him. Well, first of all, I met him when he was wearing the Hana and at the open mic, and I was like, oh, he looks really good. He looks like he looks cool, and I was like, and I asked, you told me that he's a stuntman, and I was like, oh, that's
yeah,
because that's immediately where we clicked. I was like, hey, nice to meet you. I would love to get your info and we could talk, and he's like, oh, sounds good. And then literally after that day, we just kept texting. I was like, do you want to be in a movie? And he's like, sure. And then we just kept going back and forth, and then I was already writing Boyz at that point, but I didn't. That character, Hector, his character, wasn't going to be in it that long. He was only going to be in it for a little bit, and because we kept talking and how excited he was and everything, and then we met up and he showed me some of his stunt work. I was like, okay, maybe we could do something else with this, and I added him way more into the movie and worked the whole story into that.
Yeah, because he plays, like I said, Brian is multiple. He's very artistic. He sings.
Yeah, he can sing.
He sings, and if you know him very close. He's super loving, like a very loving guy.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that, and I remember I really wanted you guys to meet because he had gone to training and he's a certified stunt person and he's actually worked on a film. And I saw that used a lot of that, and I was so amazed and surprised, and even my mom left with I know Brian when he was in high school. I didn't know he could do this. So, and even Javier, when my mom saw Javier too, she was like, wait. Yeah. And she was very convinced. And so that was really, really cool. But I wanted just to talk about that.
Sure.
I actually have a funny story about Brian.
Go ahead.
The intro day, when that was the first time. I've known Brian as well since high school. And
he went to TL with you,
yeah, we were in a class together and everything.
There you go.
When the intro day, when he's in character and he's talking to us,
oh yeah,
his face, I was actually scared. In the intro, you can see when the camera's on him, my face is right in the corner of the frame, and I'm like this, and that's my genuine reaction to it. I'm like, oh wow, this guy's he's actually scaring me right now, and I've never felt that from him ever. He's a super cool guy.
And
But that intro day, that
just for context too. So the opening scene is you guys are dressed up as like your guys'
Janitors.
gang.
Yeah.
Janitors, like I was saying maintenance, housekeeping.
Housekeeping. Into Brian's house.
Into Brian's house.
And Brian's part of like a cartel.
Yeah. He's like the leader of one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And that opening scene was really cool too. Like I love how that set the
It was
stage.
also in a way comedic.
It was, yeah, it was comedic because you guys were like house cleaners and stuff.
Yeah, it was supposed to be funny. And also that
The doorbell.
Yeah. Oh my god. Speaking of that, like, it's supposed to be comedic. I mean, you heard what he said. He was like, "Y'all are the weirdest housekeepers I've ever seen." And they're like, "That's racist. Why'd you assume that?" You know? Yeah. No, that day was really fun. We shot all that in
12-hour day. No.
Yeah, that was about a work shift.
At least for me, I was there from 9 to 9.
Yeah. It was long. And yeah, just what he was saying earlier about the story when Brian walked up. Brian was like in his character and outfit and everything, but he was still himself. Like he was cool and everything. The minute I said action, Brian just went and got into it and just went for it. He just walked up and he was like, "You must be the cleaning crew." And Jessie was just like,
"Yeah, I was."
And he's buffed up too. I mean, he's has history of an athlete person.
Yeah.
You guys did a 12-hour shoot. And your budget for this was, I think you said $400.
About
$400.
If that,
or like if even that, yeah.
I know we talked about this on previous shows, but how did the conversation of people doing this without getting paid? How did that work? What was, for anyone who wants to do the same thing, what's the conversation you had? How did you go about it? And also you gave up a lot of your time. How did you guys all feel about that?
At least for me, I just like doing it now. So I don't mind. I mean, me and Miguel and Devin are close friends now. So it's like, I don't mind doing it for them. And it's also because I kind of like love it now. So for me, I don't mind. I mean, I took the day off of work and everything for it. So
you took the day off work? Wow,
he told me, like a month in advance with the day and everything.
Yeah, we had it scheduled that intro day a month in advance because the house wasn't ours. The house we used, that big house. So we wanted to make sure we were able to get a good day and like a day that wouldn't not work for the shout out to Carol, by the way, lady that owned the house.
Yeah, and, how do you guys find all those?
That's
people?
my curiosity of everything.
That was shout out to Devin because Devin knows her. That's a family friend of his family, and he was able to. He's been telling me about that house for so long, and then we never got the chance to like actually use it. And then eventually he was like, we were trying to think of when I was writing it, I told him I read him what I wrote, and I wrote it to no location specifically, but just random. And it's almost exactly what I wrote. We had to change a couple of things just because of the actual spot.
Right.
And then I told him like, where are we going to shoot this? And immediately he was like, oh, we can go to this house that this Carol has, this lady. And I was like, who's that? And then he, ended up telling me all about it. And then we talked to her, and me and Devin went there separately one day. You weren't there, but we went separately one day, and I recorded. Literally, I have footage of us walking through the house, seeing where we're gonna be, what we're gonna do, and I mean, it's just people. That one was Devin, but usually the spots we use are just us looking for them.
Yeah.
We get location scout.
We just location scout. We just drive around and like, oh, that spot looks cool.
And speaking of locations, one that really was to me made me like wild was the when you guys went to SR.
Yeah,
and you gave that shout out to Madron. I like how you guys. I like how Ale met in the movie. The character Ale, she mentioned like how we're going to SR, but then you guys show Madron.
Yeah. I did it on purpose.
Yeah.
I would have wanted to show like SR, like San High School, but because it looks different.
The Madron lights look perfect.
They look great. Yeah, right.
Really
I was like, and the way the framing of it when he pulled up, it was perfect. Yeah. It was,
so how was that? Because filming at a school at night, was there anything?
It was
sketchy?
late. It was actually really late.
It was like
sketchy too.
It was sketchy.
It was pretty sketchy.
Yeah, there was like weird people walking around.
Yeah, there's weird people walking around.
There were people walking their dogs, and then some sketchy guy would walk.
Yeah, would walk by. We'd be like, what the? But we were a bunch of us, so they would just walk by. Like we weren't that scared. But we kept hearing weird like creaking. I think it was just the bleachers.
It was just the bleachers making.
But like the bleachers kept creaking, and we were like.
Whoa.
Yeah, kept like, wait a minute.
It was always when it was super quiet.
So what time was it when you guys filmed that?
Like 10:30, 11. But we obviously take a while,
late.
so it's pretty late.
Yeah.
I had a question on that.
Yeah.
Because you guys used a lot of props, guns, knives.
Right. Yeah.
How did you go on a school? Like, how did you go around? Because when I was watching that, I was like, I could think of like the people saying, what are they doing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How did you go around that?
So As always, the rule is don't take it out unless I tell you to, and drop it if I tell you to. Like, put it away, don't play with it. If you're using it in the scene, let's do it. If as soon as I say cut, put it down, put it away. Like, you know what I mean? And they know that. You know that. Everyone knows that. Yeah. And they've heard that from me like a million times, even when we were still shooting on like an iPhone and everything. But now it's like very serious, right? Especially because we talked about this before. We look a lot older now. Like, we look like adults. We don't look like kids, and it could be even more dangerous than it already could have been. So, anyways, the main thing is just being safe. Just making sure that we again aren't using them when we're not supposed to. And the school was actually open. I know it was late, but the gate was like wide open, and we could walk right in. We were like, oh, okay. Yeah. And so we just walked in. But as far as like other spots, like when Brian and Devin were fighting and they had the knife, that's a prop knife. That's not even real. It's a rubber. The only part that's like hard is like the plastic part, and then the actual blade is rubber because it can bend just in case it actually hits somebody.
And there was a lot of blood throughout the movie, which makes me curious. So how did you guys? How does that work? Like when someone gets hit, how do you get the blood?
For sure.
Like, how's that work?
Yeah, we use fake blood. It's a fake blood that we found on Amazon. It's really good. It's high quality, and it's the only thing is it's really sticky. So we have to mix it with a little bit of water. It depends. If you want it really sticky, then leave it. But if you want it to be like runny, then you might want to mix it a little bit with water. But yeah, that's just some fake blood we ordered off Amazon, and to make it look like people are bleeding from their like mouths or nose
or like
when they get hit,
coughing up blood.
Yeah, you can actually put it in your mouth as long as you don't like swallow it. Just because I don't know if it's toxic. I don't think it's. Toxic.
I don't think it is.
You're just not supposed to swallow it. It's not good for you. But you can put it all over your teeth and just wash it out with some water. It comes right off. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it gets on your clothes
and everything too.
Yeah, it comes right off clothes. Yeah.
Oh, really?
It doesn't stain at all. Nope.
Oh. Yeah. So like I said, this is gonna be a not a spoiler free.
Yeah.
Or sorry, this is a
spoiler interview.
Spoiler-ish. I don't
spoiler. We're not ruining the movie, but we are talking a lot about the elements of the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
But it'll be out later tonight.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to watch it, they can absolutely go do that.
Perfect. So. And then like I was saying about the blood was that was also a huge improvement I think in your guys' movies because it made the fight scenes feel way more believable and absolutely. Way more like
the
intense.
Spit of blood.
The spit of blood.
Don't even get me started. That was my favorite thing ever.
Yeah. And then when Zeke at the end got shot and then he had like all that blood all over his shirt, like that looked like really good.
I'm glad.
You know what I mean? Like I was like,
those bullet holes too are like really hard to get because we didn't.
Wait, how were those?
Oh yeah,
holes?
It's super easy.
On the head and in the.
Yeah. So the one on the head was actually one of our friends, me and Devin's friend named Jocelyn, and she isn't here right now. I think she's in college, but shout out to her. She did the makeup for just that one day, and she wasn't able to stay. She was it was August, so she was about to head back to school, and she was there for that one day, and we ended up using her to be able to do the bullet hole on Lindsay's forehead. And for the rest of the shoot, we weren't able to do makeup like that. So if you notice, no one was getting shot in the face or in the head specifically, unless it cuts away like Liam. But as far as like bullet holes on people's like arms or chest or anything, then all I did was I grabbed the bottle, and because it was like a little hole, I just put it up against wherever they needed to have the hole, and then poured it, and then pulled it back, and it looked like a little like circle, and then it started dripping. So that's how we did that. So that's how we did Luke's on his chest, and that's how we did mine in the gun draw. Like when you looked at me and it was dripping, that was mine too. I just put it up against it, let go, and it started dripping. Yeah, because we didn't have like an actual like makeup artist to be able to start cutting up like clothes and doing the makeup.
We did that once for Man in the Mask, right?
We did do it for Man in the Mask, for the flashback. We had her like rip people's clothes.
Is she the same person we had on the show?
No, that was somebody else. That was
Anne. Okay.
We're talking about somebody else,
okay. But even that, it adds on to the movie magic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, lots of movie magic in this.
Yeah,
lots of movie magic in this movie. Yeah,
I want
to budget too.
Yeah, with the budget, I want to talk a little bit to Jessie about the acting.
For sure.
How was it for you? And have you done acting? Because I don't remember a lot of. I think I've watched just Street. No, the one with your sister.
How to Save the World.
Yeah, but.
So I've acted in like what 3 or 4. No more.
Ops.
Right?
You were in
Ops. Ops was my first one.
That was your first one ever.
Yeah.
I have a blooper of you going, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm scared. Yeah.
No, but the acting, honestly, this was my first time acting since Streets, which we filmed in 2022. Yeah. So it was almost a full year without acting or anything. So I don't know if you noticed that the intro was my first day back doing like, acting and all that. So I couldn't really like my lines.
Oh yeah,
when that one line, there's one line in the. It's like long enough for you to have to call us.
When Brian was asking how long have you guys been doing this, referring to like how long have you guys been
I was just like blah, 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 blah. Like I could not say whatsoever. But as the kind of we kept filming, and since we reshot a lot of things, I was able to kind of use it as practice. And then when I shot with Lilith's character and all that, I feel like I was able to really kind of like be natural about it. That's what I was trying to do. I was kind of trying to be natural, not like myself, but like the character entails. Yeah.
Yeah. And how was the training scenes with Abraham?
Yeah. Tiring. I'm not gonna lie. Like if you see me tired, like in the shot, I was actually tired. Yeah. Okay. Because it was hot. It was
hot. And you were wearing all black.
I was wearing all black end of summer, and we did the 2 different days in the movie. It was actually shot all in one day. Just brought different clothes.
And that location was in Nevada, right?
Yeah, it was in Hamilton. Yeah. It's right by the location where they were saving Luna, where they were saving Jasmine, where Brian and Devin were.
Yeah.
It's right by there. It's like 10 minutes from there. Yeah. Oh, really? It's just it's a hike though.
That's what got like
that's why they were tired.
Yeah, the hike there was what got me tired. Abraham was fine. He literally went like on a run right after we finished. Like he ran. Yeah. However long he did, and then
I mentioned earlier to you before we started how there was a scene that I was surprised because then you did another shot in his bedroom and you were doing push-ups and you could see that he's all marked up. I was like, whoa, the way you guys were training. There's similar scenes that you did like training or stuff and then shifted to another and it kind of connected and I was like, oh,
absolutely,
yeah. Well, I was wanting to ask a little bit more of that because I know you're gonna head out in the second part. But yeah.
Sure.
So I mean, other than that, you did a great job, Jessie.
Thank you.
I think I've definitely seen a lot of improvement in your acting, especially in the fight scenes, man.
Oh yeah, you did good.
Yeah. You did great with the choreography.
Yeah, that's because of Devin. Devin was like actually making some contact, so he was keeping me in check to make sure I was doing my.
You got to make sure you swerve, like
so I was making sure I would move out of the way in time and all that. So I mean. Yeah, it was just, I think it's just over time, just kind of learning it and all that, yeah.
Yeah, well, do you want to say anything to the audience before you head out?
I don't know, I guess, I don't know.
Check out Boyz.
Check out Boyz. Yeah, check out
with
Boyz.
Jessie. Because we're actually transitioning into Devin now.
Yeah. Okay, for sure.
So Devin will be on.
Well, thank you so much, Jessie, for being on here. And before you go, though, I do want to take a break. And as we mentioned, that in the film, there's a lot of local artists. And we're going to play actually one of the musics by Ismael.
Let's go.
Evolving Wings, correction. Soul Purpose. And we will be right back.
Yeah. Evolving Wings. Yeah. I'm a genius, original purpose, resurrect like the phoenix. From the mother lotus emerges, no longer feel wordless. To be a service to purpose, it's evolving wings por vida. Got them all like Nita, internal play in the brain, got me insane. It's been the pain, the seats pain. My soul wounded, some wounds can't be computed. God's great shadows meet the darkest alley. Demons came for me, but archangels parried. Swift swings shut the souls rapidly. Call it horror meets fantasy. Lower energies move like cavities. Sucker MCs, no substance. Ignore the earth's cry. Sucker MCs, no substance. Don't realize we never die. Misguided by subsidized lies. I'm guided by my ancestors' war cries. Borga floor spitting truth, encouraging your spine. Evolving wings is manifesting your divine. Don't give up, fly. Compassionate can't pay my soul purpose. Wings up, wings up, wings up, wings up. Compassionate can't pay my soul purpose. Wings up, wings up, wings up, wings up. Compassionate can't pay my soul purpose. Wings up, wings up, wings up. Compassionate can't pay my soul purpose. Wings up, wings up.
Fui bendecido por los grandes que fincan 4 paredes. No pudieron descifrar esta trivia. No compartieron visiones que nos preceden. Las ansias de esta arrebaten el alma que nos conmueve. Son solo números, dígitos y algoritmos.
All right, and welcome back. So now we are here with Devin.
Let's go.
Who we've had on the show various times now as well. And just before we get into Devin's perspective on the film, I did want to announce that open mic nights are back.
Let's go.
Here at MCM. I'm very excited to continue another year with open mics. Last year was, like I said, like a lot of the artists that were in the movie, especially a lot of the connections that we've been making,
we're at the
have been made at open mic night.
Absolutely.
So if you haven't had a chance, if you're an artist, especially, and you're just looking like to come meet some new creative-minded people, this is the place to come.
Absolutely.
That's what I am trying to do and what I'm trying to accomplish, and I'm really happy to see it all kind of come through, especially in you guys' films, because you guys have got to meet some really great people like Ismael
and worked with them,
which I mean that's all you too.
And it's just awesome seeing all of that, like what I had in mind come to fruition. So big shout out to you guys for always supporting open mic nights.
Shout out to you for
since the first open mic night. And I'm looking forward to our first one of the year, which is on January 26th, so Friday of this month, and it'll be from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So we hope to see you guys there.
For sure.
But moving on. So Devin, your character in the film, could you just introduce like what your character was? Because you're basically one of the main character. The main character in the film.
So I play a character named Latrell Stevens, and I'm basically like the through line throughout the movie. So the plot kind of kicks off when I get out when Hector, Brian's character, gets me out of prison and basically gives me a deal, which is you have to kill your whole ex-friend group who attempted to rob him, and if you don't, I'm just gonna put you back in prison. So get revenge for me, so I don't have to do it.
Right.
And so that's kind of what kicks off the plot. So there's this guy who had a group of friends who he trusted, and then was betrayed by that friend group. So I'm pushed by revenge, and then stuff happens towards the end of the movie where
and you have a lot of fights.
A lot of fights.
Of fights.
A lot of punching and a lot of shooting and violent stuff.
Did you want to mention something?
No, I'm excited to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
I think you played the character very, very well. You did have a lot of fight scenes. I'm curious to ask you a lot about each one, but I don't know if you have any other questions before we get there.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to add too was in this movie, especially, I think similar to how you felt about like seeing Brian like play like a villain role for like the first time, or like see him like be in a different way, because Devin's such a sweet guy.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Also very, very kind.
And then when you watch the film, he like acts like again like a gangster, you know what I mean? Like he's got to be tough, you know what I mean? And I think this your role in this movie, it definitely shows how your acting has improved as well.
Thank you.
Immensely, I would say.
Yeah, I want to add on to that because for those who don't know, your brother has a juicing business. And I'm giving it a shout out for a reason. You're sometimes there on the farmers market on Sundays, and you're supporting your brother and selling juices. That's how my mom met Devin. My mom always says, like, we have to stop by to the juice place because I got to get my jugos. And when the movie she watched the whole thing. And then when the movie was done, I told her, can you believe it? He sells you juices. And she was so confused. And I said, he sells you juices. And she goes, "That's him!" Like her reaction
when I saw her after the show, and because I knew her from the juice, but it was like this after the movie. I kind of had adrenaline and everything. She was like, "You?" I was like, "Yes, I did both." So
it adds on to what Javier was saying. I think a lot. That's what good acting at least I'm not no professional, but good acting is where you find someone believable role, and exactly the reaction that my mom had, and she couldn't believe it. She's like, I got juices from the guy. So it was really cute,
and that's how I think a lot of people felt throughout that. Well, actually, even more general, the whole movie. Like one thing I appreciate, and you said this in the QA and Q&A after, was that you always are trying to represent Marin County in one way or another. Like you're always kind of making the movie for Marin County people.
Absolutely.
Like yes, the movie anyone could watch it.
Absolutely.
But like if you're from Marin County especially, you get a lot of just like aha moments, you know what I mean?
Like, oh, I know that spot.
Exactly.
Like I brought my one friend who's never watched any of your films, but as he was watching, he was like, "Oh, I go through that place all the time through work." It's like, "Oh, I know exactly where that," and that keeps people like people really engaged, especially Marin County residents, because that's what I always look forward to in your films, is like seeing, okay, like what new location is going to highlight in Marin County now. And there was like, again, the locations throughout the movie are super diverse. Like you guys were all over Marin County.
We were this time.
I mean, he'll remember we were literally talking about this like a week ago. I was saying, because we've been making movies we started making movies in freshman year, but we've been doing this for a long time, and I find it really interesting that a place as diverse ethnically, economically, location-wise, like the Bay Area, not just Marin, but the Bay Area. I feel like it should have as many movies made about it as like New York or Los Angeles. It's just there's so much here, like from San Francisco and Oakland, East Bay, Marin, all that stuff. And there's just not. I mean, there's movies that exist. There's Vertigo and all that stuff but they don't really highlight the culture of it. It's just a movie that takes place in San Francisco or the Bay Area. But so we really try to, we do that with our cast. Like if you look at, he's been doing that amazing. But all of our casts are super diverse. You know what I mean? Which reflects Marin, even though Marin still has a lot of issues with segregation and stuff. It's still a diverse place where a lot of people live. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't have that in mind, but now that you mentioned it, you're right. There's a lot of it's a very
we've had them all.
range.
Yeah. We've had every single. Yep.
Yeah, we've had them all. So
yeah.
And for me too, one other thing about about location, keeping the Marin County culture right here, like throughout the movie. It's just interesting too having Zeke play like a character who wants to be like Mexican or Latino or something.
Was that planned in the script? The whole time?
How was that?
So the thing is,
actually describe Zeke's character first.
Okay, cool. So
Luke.
Zeke is the best friend of his character of Latrell, and they grew up since they were kids. They've been best friends, and they basically both were like foster kids, so they were like brothers basically, which is why you see the relationship that they have in the movie. Which
was that referenced in the film?
That they were like brothers? Yeah.
In the foster home?
No. No. That's just the backstory that I have to.
There's stuff with, like me and Luke.
I think that's what you were mentioning earlier about the backstories of the characters.
Yeah.
Like I think that would have made the like we saw it.
Yeah.
But maybe having that would make.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what I mean?
It's
But anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
No worries.
Continue.
The only reason why we wouldn't do like a quick flashback of like them as kids is just because we need to find people who look like them, and we don't know. It's a little hard to find people who look like the character you're trying to be, use and as a younger version. So it's just we have to just find like kids. But anyways, so Zeke is Latrell's best friend, and they're basically like brothers since they were little.
Yeah.
And he is the one that doesn't like to fight. He doesn't like to fight somebody by hands. He does like to shoot people though. He gladly will use his firearms and everything like that. And he is really funny, and he also is very how do I say this? Not strong-headed. What is it? Not determined. It was like a
stubborn.
Not stubborn. No, it's like a quick-witted almost. I think that's what I'm trying to go for. But yeah, that's kind of like how he is as a person, and he also is very caring, but about specific people, which you saw. He only mainly cares about his character, and I'm forgetting now what was the original question. But then you asked me what.
Just describe him. Yeah.
Describe him.
I mean, I can.
And well, we were just talking about what made you write him that way.
Oh, got you.
To be like the Mexican,
yeah,
got you.
Exactly.
I actually wanted to make him half Mexican, just because I wanted it to be a thing where his character. I wanted it to be a thing where when you look at him, you immediately assume something.
He's
right.
White, yeah.
He's white. But
you need to watch Blood In, Blood Out. That's literally a big part of that movie.
For sure.
I watched it since the last interview, by the way.
Oh, you
I'd
did?
seen it when I was a little kid because all my brothers were always watching
me too. As a little kid,
I watched it. Yeah, it's on YouTube for free. Yes, I watched it. But
I'm gonna check it out for sure. Yeah. Might even do it tonight. Why not? So I wanted it to be a thing where when you look at him, you assume a specific you immediately want to put him in a box. Oh, he's white, but he actually isn't. He's actually half. But because of the way he looks or the way he acts, you might think he's trying to be or doing this and that. Granted, you would think that Latrell would know that, and he does know that, but he likes to make fun of him about it, which is why you heard that one line. He's like, why are you always trying to be like them? He's like, you're just mad that I'm cultured.
I mean, his last name is Torres.
His last name is Torres. I don't know if you saw when it showed up.
It's that
Torres. So that's he is half. I just thought it'd be an interesting way to put his character next to his character, because his character is pretty straightforward. He's this specific kind of guy. He's strong and mean and crazy and angry and all that stuff. And then you put him next to this guy, you're like, oh, he's a white dude. And they're like, no, he's actually half, and he's really caring and funny and also crazy. But I just thought it'd be a cool dynamic to have them both of those characters together like that.
Yeah, totally. Did you want to add anything, Santi?
No, just I'm just in awe of everything you guys are saying. I think it in a way I knew a lot of people who went in theaters, and a lot of people assume that you said it actually at the Q&A where you talked about the budget the budget of like small films, like small budget would be like I don't know, 100.
Well, I mean, like there's like a diagram that says like indie movie is anything below $1 million, and a low budget movie is anything below $500, and a micro budget is anything below 20,000. And we're sitting here like we've never spent more than, unless it's like on like equipment, but that's not really what we do. Like that's before.
That's an investment. It's not like a budget. Budget would be
budget for a specific movie. I don't think we've ever spent more than $1,000 on.
Not at all.
And we've done like.
And the reason why I was like, I'm in awe because as you guys are talking, a lot of people there, like even my mom was saying, hey, they're right. I would assume like a small budget is this amount or this amount. Mm-hmm. The fact that you guys were able to produce and create a film like that with the acting, the makeup, the costume design, the character development, I'm in awe of that because one is you guys, your passion, your desire, that you can see it through the screen. And even the audience said to you guys, hey, have you thought about putting this film into the Sundance?
Yeah.
Because like the transitions, there was a transition that I found like I really loved. It was in the house where you know how they're hiding, they're trying to get out of the house.
Yeah.
There's the camera kind of does a direction facing this, and they face back and someone is walking in, and they shoot the person, but then it goes back and then it goes back and they're gone.
I'm like trying to remember
what it is, but there's a lot of those. There's a lot of movement.
I found those really interesting, and so when you guys are talking about this, I'm very impressed and very proud of like the work that you guys have been doing, and I hope that our audience who are listening can also take what they're hearing and saying. You don't need a big budget. You started off with your iPhone. You can really continue.
Yeah.
And writing and stuff. If you, just putting it out there is beautiful. And like I was really amazed with the quality of this film, knowing from where you've come and all along, you know.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Talking about budgets too, I think that the cinema world understands that a little bit more now too, with how like cameras. So for example, I know we talked briefly about this, is like the Sony FX3, that's like a cinema camera that's been out for 3 years now, and that's like a $4,000 camera basically. I know that sounds like a lot to us right now, but that camera, it shot $1 million movie.
Yeah, it shot the creator last year. Yeah.
The creator. Yeah.
Which is crazy if you really think about it, because like actual like other pro cinema cameras, like the ones like the Venice, like Sony
Ari,
Venice, like Ari, all that stuff, that's an incredible amount of money.
Yeah.
So a $4,000 camera that you can buy at a Best Buy, that can be used, that was used last year to make a blockbuster film.
Yeah.
That's just cool. And also with the new iPhone cameras, they all have, like the new iPhone cameras, they're always improving the camera quality on them, especially also even having log footage on them.
Yeah.
So that you can color grade and get into more advanced cinema workflows that way. So that's just one thing I always want to stress whenever, you know, I'm on these shows with you guys, is that you could literally have the tools available to you.
I mean, I always think about how lucky we are, and I'm not saying that we don't work hard, but I think about like directors in the 70s or even the 90s when, you know, they had to shoot their movie in black and white because film was so expensive. And so, you know, like I said, we started on iPhone. He made 14 movies off of an iPhone, 2-hour feature off of an iPhone, you know. So the hardest thing is to start, and luckily we're in an age where we have as many tools to, like, I can't even imagine, like, if Steven Spielberg was our age, how many movies he would have on YouTube right now. Like, how I think about that all the time. And we always make the joke of, like, if we ever got $10 million to make a movie, like a studio gave us $10 million, we're like, okay, we're going to make 40 movies for you for $10 million.
Exactly.
Like, we're not going to make one movie. Let us make 40 movies for you for $10 million, and we're good.
Yeah, you give us $10 million, we'll make you a bunch of movies. We're not going to make just one.
Yeah. It helps, though, but, you know.
It's crazy. And I love how you mentioned, like, there's all of these tools available that are there, and you guys are taking advantage of it. And it's what you want to do. And like I said, it's just, I was really left very proud, and I was like, wow, you guys are doing such amazing work, and slowly over time you've been improving, and it's just going to get better from here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
And I guess right now, another question I had was, in terms of what you were saying about your favorite shots in the movie, another really, really awesome shot that I enjoyed from the movie was when Brian's character was looking at all the people he had killed already, and he was looking it up.
Oh yeah,
You know what that scene reminded me of?
What's up?
It reminded me of an Endgame when Thanos was looking out into like the lake, like at the beginning.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
He was in that little like wooden house.
Yeah.
It was it had the same
his
vibe.
little farm,
kind of.
just
His
like,
little farm,
just like I did what I needed to do.
Exactly. That's exactly how I felt with Brian.
I want to talk a little bit about since you brought up Brian, that final light scene.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh my God, what's happening?
Yeah.
Because, like I said, two people that you know that are completely so kind, so amazing, when you get to know them, you guys were attacking each other. And the way it was shot, the mood, it was definitely one of my favorite scenes, actually.
Yeah.
And you guys talked about how Brian did
Do the stunts.
going down the stairs.
Yeah.
And did he do every single thing?
Yeah. So first off, that's my favorite scene in the entire movie. That's my favorite scene.
We rewatched that scene.
We rewatched that scene
So much.
like a million times. Like,
And I don't
so-
like watching I never, you can ask him, like, I never watch back any of the stuff I do. Like, I've never watched back any of our interviews. I just don't like watching myself.
Oh, you haven't watched Busted 33?
I've
No,
seen
he's
it
watched it. He
I've
just
seen
doesn't watch it
but I
like
don't
a lot,
watch it
you know?
back
He doesn't
because I
rewatch
Okay, okay.
I've rewatched that scene like 40 times. It's my
he's
favorite.
gone back, and watched it. Anyways, but yeah, so Brian did all that. We were rehearsing that again at the Q&A. I answered this, but we were rehearsing that for like 3 days.
We
like,
did
4
it,
days, and
yeah, because we were kind of writing, because with fight scenes, it's like Miguel writes what he wants on the page, right? But because we don't have choreographers and things that help everything come to life, it's just me and Brian doing to the best of our ability stuff that we know from, like, I did boxing when I was a kid, stuff like that. So we have to kind of write the fight, even though he knows what he wants. We kind of write him to, like, oh, you can't do this. Okay, let's do this instead. Or
So
and
like
we get to location and
we almost had like now that you guys have seen it, we almost had like a leg sweep in there somewhere. But when you watch, like when you think about it now, where would the leg sweep work?
Yeah.
And also, it wouldn't work with like the character that Brian was playing. Why would Hector know how to do a leg sweep, right? So we just had to. I had to make sure I wrote like things that the characters would actually do in a fight like that, right? And like he said, Latrell and Devin, he has a little bit of boxing experience. So if you saw Latrell, he always would like be weaving and like moving out of the way and like just going straight for punches and stuff. And Brian was doing more like flips and like doing doing kick-ups and stuff like that. But yeah, that stuff was really cool. He I didn't know he could do that kick up thing.
I know. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do that.
It fit
I was
the
like, can you do
scene.
this? We were rehearsing, and I was like, can you do this? He was like, yeah. And I was like, prove it. And he did it. And we were like, okay,
Wait,
cool.
he did that one where he was he was on the ground and he is that what you're talking about?
That's when he rolled back. That's
That one was really cool.
That one was dope.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
When
When he was on
He was on the ground and then almost did a kick up, kicked him in the face, and then flipped back.
there was multiple things that I found so well done in it that I was like, oh my God.
And that wasn't even, again, talk about rehearsal and sort of improvisation. That double kick to my face, that wasn't even something we rehearsed. That was on the day. We were like, what we have doesn't really work. And again, that I think Brian, I mean, he's only been in one movie, or like this is his first time with us, but that was the hardest, and I've acted in so many things. That was the hardest I've ever worked on one thing. Like I said, it was me and him. We punched each other a few times. We both know what we're doing, so we didn't actually hurt each other, but we clocked each other a few times. I was cut. He was cut. My arm. I have like a scar on my arm from.
They both when they were falling.
Again, I was in a t-shirt, and he fell down the stair. It was a lot. But worth it.
Yes. Yeah. But
I had fake blood in my ear because I spit it up, and I like in my hair and stuff.
man.
It was a nice warm shower after that day.
One thing I wanted to ask too was, and I think you also mentioned this in the Q&A, but I wanted to hear again, was so when you were making this movie, you were writing the script as you were filming, right?
yeah, unfortunately, I didn't write it and then go shoot it. I was writing.
Is that how you usually do it though? You usually have the script? No.
No, I usually write the whole thing out, then we go film. But what happened was I wanted to start it already, so I wrote the entire intro, and then one of the actors who he played Santi, he was the one with the headphones. He was the one that was like, "What?" And he like took them off. That's with him. So James, he was gonna leave for college, and he came back for the premiere, but he was gonna leave for college, and I was like, well, I need to shoot this, and I need someone to play this character, and I'm not gonna be able to do it because Jesse's in the scene and he can't hold it. Like I didn't have anybody to hold the camera, so I was like, so I need him to do it, and it also would be cool to have James in the movie. And I was like, okay, cool. So I wrote the intro, we shot it like a month after, and then after that, I immediately was like, I want to keep shooting it because I was originally working on a different project, a different movie that got scrapped, and we were like, no, let's just start shooting this one. And I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. But I don't have it finished, but I had some of it done. I just didn't have all of it done. And I was like, so as we were going, I just started.
The ending already in
mind? I knew how it was gonna end. Yeah, it was definitely still gonna be Hector versus Latrell. Yeah, but I ended up just starting to write like a week before the actual day we were gonna shoot, or like I would schedule days and then I would immediately try to finish the scene and then do it, which is terrible, boy.
So you don't think stressed. you would probably do that again?
I wouldn't unless I knew exactly what I was writing, because I didn't. Again, the scene with going back to Jessie, actually, that scene with Jessie with him and Ale and Lillis, our friend Lillis, they were actually going to be together, like they were going to be a team. They were going to be like a duo, and they were going to go fight him, and they were going to. It was going to be a three-person fight, and we actually were choreographing it. We have footage of it. We were actually doing it, but then just because of scheduling and just I didn't really feel it. I was like, this is the good thing about it, because I was writing it, I was doing it, I just deleted it. I was like, okay, let me just scrap this scene, let's try again, let's start completely over. So I picked it up again and I wrote the whole thing out, and then this time I switched it. Now she's the person that he's going after and all this and that, and it ended up working out. It was good.
And you're in there. He's in the movie too. Did you mention
you're in the movie?
Yeah, I was actually very surprised with how that came out.
Yeah,
you guys did a great job of editing the small scene I was in, and especially also with the phone call too. I was like waiting for it. I was like, all right, when's the phone call?
Yeah, and you actually and I don't know if you noticed this, you were stuttering a little bit on the phone call, but it looked real. It sounded realistic. You were like, hey man, how's it going?
I started because we here for background.
Yeah, go ahead.
That was actually shot after an open mic.
Yeah, and you were like, we were trying to leave.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, like, and we were trying to leave too. Yeah. We were going to the movie.
Like everyone was being super loud.
Yeah, super loud. Yeah. I was like, hey guys, give me.
That was up here, right? You came.
No, we were in the room.
No, we
down
were
there
in the room.
Oh, I thought,
yeah. But so I think it was fine. Like I also had in mind, like, it'll fit the character.
Yeah.
You know.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Yeah. You did, even though you were only in like the one scene, you did a great job. Yeah. Really good job. And I know you have a little bit of experience. You did drama, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So
he was locked in. He was say what he wanted, but he was.
Oh my God! I do want to give a shout out to. We've had him on the show. He does a lot of. There was two guests we've had. Wait.
Oh,
John and David.
David. Oh my God! His character, it fit him so well.
John and David. Yep.
Yeah. When he came with the guns, he had the moves of like checking. You know, when he was searching for who was in the house.
We're talking about David?
Yeah.
David, yes. And your friend. And John. There you go.
I love how John like did a little like scream when he was like
taking He was like, he did the whole thing. He did so good. Yeah.
And again, those people we know.
You know.
So the fact that they played characters like that, it just made things feel so, at least for me, it allowed me to be more in the film and be like,
you're like, that's my friend getting punched. No.
That's you're like, oh no.
Yeah. Honestly, talking about people we know, but I met Brian again. I knew Brian from middle school, and then we saw him perform at the open mic. I forgot it was him. I was like, oh my God. And then it like dawned on me.
Oh really?
Yeah. We went to middle school together, and then we started doing this, and you just hit it off with someone. We both love him. Like he's just the sweetest
guy. Yeah.
Dude, like, and every time we see him, he's like, dude, we're gonna work together. Like he loves working with us. He wants to keep doing it.
Yeah.
We want to keep working with him.
Nice.
And after the
fighting him was hard. He's like a lovely dude, and like we both were like locked in. And when Miguel says action, me and him were both like ready. But it was hard to punch Brian 8 times. He's a sweet dude. So
we definitely are gonna keep working with him. He's such a good guy, and he did fantastic. He did such a good job. Yeah,
he definitely did.
We're definitely gonna keep working with him.
It was a big role for us. It's kind of like Jasmine with How to Save the World. Like
it's a big role to do first time ever. Yeah.
And on that note, the ending with the bond of the friendship when the character, what's his name?
Are we spoiling?
Latrell.
Yeah.
It comes out
Are we?
today.
It comes out today. It comes out today. We can talk about it.
So when he gets unalived, yes, you could hear the audience go, "Oh no!" Like that feeling of like, "Oh man," and it just shows like how audience was inside the film and like really dove into, because and then when out of nowhere he appears, it was like
It was really cool too with the ending.
That
ending, the ending, me, Miguel, because it wasn't scripted. Me, Miguel, and Luke all came up with together. Like when we were filming a scene. So it was cool after coming out the theater and hearing people like, who died? You know what I mean? Like,
it was
because it's up for interpretation.
It's up for interpretation. That's why it ended like that. So it
cuts to black.
Yeah, it just cuts to black. So that's why I love hearing what people thought of how it ended.
Yeah, I have so many other questions. We can go on and on, but unfortunately, we are close to the end. But I want to give you guys a chance to say anything before we end the show, and also Javier, of course, if he wants to say anything.
I just want to say, awesome job, guys. Awesome job to the whole cast of the movie. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to all the artists that were on the film too.
Absolutely.
It's just so awesome seeing all of these artists come together in one film. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I'm looking forward to whatever projects you guys have looking forward, and you can all look forward to hearing more interviews about that in the future.
Every time.
Every time we'll be here.
So all right. So take care, guys. Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much.
See y'all next week, and Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. And remember, you can follow us on our social media at TBD Marin on Instagram, TikTok, Spotify. And I'm going to give you an opportunity for you to say any of your social medias to know where people can follow you.
Yeah, well, the movie comes out tonight.
On Miguel's channel, which is linked on the live stream.
Yeah.
Miguel Rodriguez on YouTube, but click the link because there's a lot of stuff that comes up. But just MR Studios.
Yeah. So check out the movie. Boyz will be out tonight. The link is going to be in the description, and you can always check my Instagram out, MR Studios.
And the other two it's my production company and Jessie's, La Brea and 4 for Films are in the description of the YouTube video. So you can check everybody out.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much.